Well, welcome to Money and Meaning, Kinder Institute of Life Planning's blog, where we tell the stories of life planners from around the globe. I'm Lora Woodward, Communications Director for Kinder Institute, and this is our I'm a Registered Life Planner series. Today, I'm thrilled to be joined by Anne Johnston, founder of Created, a wealth advisory firm based in Los Angeles, California. Welcome, Anne.
Thank you. I'm so delighted to be here.
Yeah, well, it's so good to have you here. Let's just start by hearing a bit of your backstory. How did you get into financial services?
Well, I grew up in Georgia, and then I went west to go to school in California. And when I was in California, I had an internship at a company. I didn't 100% realize what they did, but it was a venture capital firm. And I think I thought it was going to be a marketing internship. And I showed up, and then there were these entrepreneurs that came in, and they had these ideas, these dreams that they wanted to bring to life. And the bankers would sit next to them and say, here's how we're going to use financial tools in order to bring your dreams to life. And I was like, wow, it was a total just transformational moment for me around what numbers and money could be. I was like, oh my gosh, money's a tool to bring dreams to life. I actually find this interesting. And that's what started me into my career in finance.
Oh, that's great. So that seems like a perfect lead in then to becoming a registered life planner, because it's so much about dreams. So how did you find out about Kinder Institute and what we're doing with the registered life planner designation?
Let's see. I think so early in my career, I started at a wirehouse, and I remember there was a time when there was a financial planning client that came in. And so I asked them the traditional financial advisor questions that we've been trained to ask, which was basically like, what are your goals? And I asked this couple, what are your goals? And they said the traditional answers, well, retire, college, travel. And I said, perfect. And so I came back with like an 80-page printed plan and a color-coded spreadsheet I was so proud of. And I gave them this information and basically said, all right, if we project your money into the future, you're going to run out of money in 7 years if you keep spending how much you're spending. And you can either cut your spending dramatically or sell your house. And, the guy put his head in his hands, and he was working as hard as he could. He didn't see a way to cut his spending, and he couldn't fathom selling the house. So he thanked me and he left. And I felt horrible about this because I felt like I wanted to know a way to help this person, but I didn't know how. And it launched me into this whole exploration of life planning. And along the way, I discovered a colleague actually told me about the 7 stages of money maturity. And I picked up this book. And at the time I was kind of like a crossroads. I was like, should I leave finance? Is this literally just looking at asset allocation models? Is that what we're doing here? And I read the book, and here was a person bringing humanity and the humanities into finance. And at the time, I was in a creative writing class, writing essays on money and the humanities, and I cried and hugged the book. And I was like, this person understands. And that's what started me on the journey. And I just enrolled in all the training that I could find after that.
Yeah, that's awesome. So I know you became a registered life planner in 2016. And gosh. So a lot of your coursework was probably in 2015. So yeah. How did it go implementing this methodology with your clients?
Yeah, I think I started with one person. And I remember like a lot of our clients come in because something's happened. Usually they've received way more money they've ever received in the future, and they're feeling overwhelmed, and they want to know, what do I do with my life now? And what do I do with the money? And the first time I introduced life planning was because I was referred a client from another financial advisor who was a friend of theirs. And they had an inheritance that just come in, and it had been sitting in cash for about a year. And one of the partners was feeling antsy. They were like, what do we do with this money? Should we put it in large cap stocks and mid cap stocks? What should we do? And the way that I did it the first time was just introduced it as a framework, a decision-making framework, and said, hey, for clients who are going through an experience like this, here's a framework that really works to help us make decisions with your money. And it turned out that instead of, putting it in, just looking at the pie and going straight to that answer, what they really wanted was to live closer to their family. They wanted to take a portion of the money and dedicate it so that after college, the kids could go on an adventure around the world as a gift from their grandparents, and then set up a charitable structure so they could make gifts in the family name so that the grandparents' name could live on, the parents could be involved, and the kids could feel connected to the whole family tree. So we were just able to connect money and meaning because we took the time to ask the important questions.
Yeah, that's a really good story. So I know you started your own advisory firm called Created. And so how are you working with clients now using this life planning methodology?
I mean, it's at the core of everything that we do. I mean, those are still our typical clients, people who come in this stage of major life transition. And this framework is essential in helping clients figure out when they want to know how can I make the smartest use of the resources that I have? What life planning allows us to do is help them make those decisions with confidence, using their goals and their values as the guiding light. And from there, once we have what their vision of freedom and fulfillment looks like, we can then build financial models and structure everything behind that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's it.
Yeah. Yeah, totally.
That's awesome. So do you have a client success story or kind of like an overall like kind of sense of what this has meant to your clients to go through this process with you?
For sure. I mean, there's so many stories because I've been fortunate to be able to practice this way for so long. And also it's been, so meaningful in my own life. But I will share, I mean, one client, a very common situation that we see is that someone is thinking about selling their business. And so they call and they want to know, again, what do I do with my life and what do I do with my money? Recently, we were working with someone who had been working all their life and they really didn't know what their vision of time was going to look like afterwards. And through engaging together in the life planning process, a vision, came to life. What does that mean? That means traveling the world. What does that mean? That means investing in impact projects. That means financially empowering my entire family. That means being engaged with organizations philanthropically that really make a difference to me. This person sold their company, and within 3 months, everything that this person had said was important to them had come to life.
Wow.
And within an extremely short period of time.
Yeah.
And they later said that this was beyond my wildest dreams from what I could have envisioned. This is from what I came to see. This is so far beyond any experience I've ever had and what I ever could have expected. And like, it's happened. It's happening. And she said, I wouldn't have been able to spot it as easily if I hadn't have had it so clear, written. Like maybe some of these things would have happened, but it's so much more satisfying and fulfilling having articulated it and having it be her plan that she created.
Absolutely. Like as a life planner, you also have been life planned and you're living your life plan. So tell us a little bit more about what came out of the life planning process for you.
So I remember the first time that I ever did the questions, I was angry. Like I was angry because I felt like my vision of freedom was so undoable that it was just never going to happen for me. And I was frustrated. I was like, why ask the questions, But of course, a part of me knew that was what I wanted, in my heart of hearts. But it felt so unfathomable at the time. And I remember some of the things and I have been asking myself the questions, I think for at least 8 years, on about 3 times a year. Since then, I've kept up a pretty rigorous process. I do them by myself. I do them with my now husband, and I do them with my team members as well. And I remember some of the things that came out just since the beginning. And it was, in the time I was working in the corporate world, 5 to 10 years left to live. Well, I'd leave the corporate world and I would create a, independent, boutique wealth advisory that keeps that sense of freedom at the center. And at the time, there was I couldn't imagine that happening. And then I want to live immersed in nature. At the time when I wrote that, I was like, how am I going to get to work? That can't happen. I want to develop strong relationships with the people in my life, especially women. And I want the relationships to feel like this. Mm-hmm. And that with intention has come to fruition. I want to play an instrument. All of these things have come to life in my own life, and some of them it's like looking back, it's like, oh, of course, because I kept walking one step and one step and one step further. And then one day, it was like a bloom. But at the time, for so many years, it felt like some of these dreams were never going to happen. And now it's amazing.
Yeah. Because you're living that. You're living immersed in nature. You have the wealth boutique. You have these strong connections with friends. You're playing music.
I am. I have a bright green electric guitar and I'm learning to play it. And it just brings a lot of joy to my life. Cultivating community, all of that stuff. And yeah, we recently moved to a place that's in the mountains near Los Angeles. And I just couldn't have imagined it would have worked out the way that it did.
Wow. Congratulations on bringing all of that into your life. That's incredible. Yeah. So cool. So, so you're living your life plan. What's next for you in terms of your own life planning journey?
Yeah, I think really now I feel like I'm in a place where I want to cultivate community and share the wealth. I mean, in terms of my creative community, I get a lot of fulfillment out of creating space for people to play creatively. I think that there's so much of just like life spent just chugging away at the professional things that we do. And a lot of times I know that something that was in my fun to column was get a bright green electric guitar and learn how to play Freebird, like seriously. And so just creating creative community is something that's in my life plan. And that's something that I do through a group called the Freebird Challenge, which I really enjoy. I'm started by another fellow life planner, by the way. I'm with myself and with him. Women's self-defense, creating community around empowering women around self-defense is something that I'm working on. And then with Created, really just sharing the wealth more. Something that really came through very strongly during COVID was that we want to be able to make a broader impact with our work. And then just structuring all the best things that we've learned from the human and technical sides of finance and be able to share that in bigger ways with the community. Yeah.
Great. That's wonderful. So you've been on this journey for a number of years now. You are a registered life planner. What would you say is some advice that you'd like to give to somebody who's just starting out on this journey themselves?
Yeah. I mean, just starting out on the journey, I think first and foremost, I mean, for me, of course, it's going to those trainings and experiencing the work yourself. I think I just remember being so wound up so tightly and so focused on achieving so many things in life, and it felt overwhelming. And so sometimes it didn't, I was surprised by how I reacted to all the different dimensions of this work. But as it expanded my horizons so much, I was able to then authentically offer it to the people in my life and to the people that I was working with. So I would just say, starting with yourself and walking forward in your own life plan, I think it's the best possible way to expand into the work.
Yeah, that's great. This has just been such a pleasure. Anything else you'd like to share with the life planning community?
Well, I'm just excited to be a part of a community of practitioners who is committed to life planning and embracing a more modern, holistic approach. It's so important and it's such an honor. And it's so many people out there, even though we've come a long way in our industry, find the world of finance overwhelming, confusing, and boring. And it doesn't have to be that way. And it can be clear, approachable, even beautiful. And I think as we can expand our definition of wealth beyond how much money is in our bank account to your experience of freedom, then we can start to generate real wealth in life.
Yeah, beautiful. Well, thank you so much, Anne. This has been such a pleasure.
Yeah, pleasure is mine. Thank you so much.
Yeah, you're welcome.